Hi, and welcome to the 37th edition of Keen Minds podcast. I am Jen, aka Takata Cycle.
And I am Tessa, and we are very excited to be covering the roundup of season 4.
Yes, and happy summer hiatus, as happy as it can get with the heat and the lack of Blacklist, which makes me sad.
I am excited. I'm doing a full rewatch. So I'm having actually a ball because I'm rewatching and I was doing the season 4 for this, and I was also started the season from 101 for another discussion group, and I'm like, I'm loving this. This is great because I'm seeing so many things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do. I decided not to do the full rewatch this summer more than likely because I have a bunch of shows that I need to get caught up on. I started watching Winona Earp. Jumped on that bandwagon, and if you're not on that bandwagon, you should get on that bandwagon because it's good.
I'm a purist.
Yeah. I like it. I have a friend that did the first, 10 of the comic books. She's a friend of the roomies and mine. And so, I already had kind of an in that I was like, well, I feel like I should watch this show and know what's going on and read the comics and all of that. And so I did, and I love it. So it works out. But yeah,
Mhm.
I caught up on that, and I've been doing. I'm watching Alias right now, which is another John Eisendrath show, and so I'm on season 3 of Alias, and it's a lot like Blacklist Light.
Yeah, I'm a purist. I can only do one of these things at a time because it requires so much work.
I can only fandom one fandom at a time, and so right now my fandom is Blacklist. But thankfully, I can watch other shows. I just can't. I can't get to the level with any other show. I'm
Well,
a one show at this level sort of person.
yeah. You can do a little light being unfaithful, but and be okay
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
You
Still
see,
go home to the Blacklist.
yeah, I'm not. I really every time I've done so many rewatches. Usually in every hiatus I do a full rewatch. So this is probably my, I don't know, seventh rewatch, and I am still finding new things, still finding new details, and it's as you go back after 4 seasons, you realize how many little details meant absolutely nothing, and you totally forgot about them. And I have a pretty good memory, but once you rewatch, you realize. And I was doing something very strange. I was watching season 4 and season 1 at the same time. So I was watching one and one, one and one, and amazing. I only gotta say amazing, and I'm very excited to be discussing season 4 because there is so much there.
Yeah, I'm just. It was a great season. It really was. I kind of feel sorry for Liz right now because I did a season 4 rewatch. I did season 4 and then I stopped after the Apothecary, watched Redemption, rewatched Redemption, and then went on.
Mm,
I watched it in timeline order, is what
okay.
I did.
I
And
didn't watch Redemption, but it's the season 4 rewatch was so interesting, wasn't it?
yeah, they just don't stop. I mean, it's there's gonna be a day these people are just like, I'm sorry, I need a nap. you know?
What exactly was the thing that in doing the rewatch of season 4 that jumped to you most vividly?
Oh gosh, just one thing.
Push towards the blacklist.
Yeah, it's. I mean, just once again, again and again and again, how much this show is about family. How deeply layered and worked in family is to this show. Because, I mean, you think about it, a procedural show, a spy show, because it's kind of a nice mix of those two. You don't always think of it as being a family show, but it is. It's about Liz looking for family, now Tom looking for family. You had Ressler looking for family, or not looking for family, but talking about family and having, pieces of his life outside of the task force coming forward. Kate found family in this one. It just little pieces that are just swirling all together, and how deep they are, and the fact that these people are, even if they're not blood, and some of them are, obviously, we found out this season, but even if they're not blood related, they're still so deeply connected, and there's that choice family connection between a lot of them as well.
Mm.
And like with finding out Kate was Liz's nanny, I loved Cooper in that. Of course she was, and it wasn't the sarcastic of course she was. It was, well,
That
okay,
makes sense.
yeah, but this is where we are. Nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, and it's very hard to do the season by season, because a lot of, I mean, if you really think about this, arc started after she got outed as Masha Rostova. So that's halfway through that's at the beginning of season 2, and we're still working on the ramifications that come from it.
Yeah.
From her being on the run, from her being pregnant, from Constantine trying to abduct her, then Kate thinking that she can outdo these guys.
Yeah, it's it's not a show that you could just pick up and let go.
Mm-mm.
If you missed an episode, you would miss it so much. I mean, you've got shows that are on that you can watch here and there and tune in and tune out, and you're not going to remember things. You can't do that with the Blacklist. I hear people talk about that they don't watch certain scenes because they don't like a character or something, and all I can think is how much of the show that they're missing.
Sometimes even in the little scenes about the blacklister of the week, they got nothing to do with anybody in there. There are little things in there that if you miss them, you're not going to make sense of what's going on.
Yep.
Should we start with Kate?
Yeah, let's work our way through the characters and through the season. And so Kate Kaplan, I've always been fond of Kate, just in general. She was always that quirky, just something about her stood out. I liked her. You never knew a whole lot about her, but I was always just very fond of her. I loved her devotion to Red. And then you had her make her choice, little over halfway through season 3. And at the time, there were a couple people. I wasn't the only one, but at the time, the night that Liz quote unquote died in season 3, I made a post that said, I'm going to call it now. Mr. Kaplan's involved. And she was. So yay! I certainly wasn't the only person that called it. I saw several other people calling it at about the same time. I mean, it was both obvious and a twist at the same time. I mean, because when you pay attention to the show, you can predict things, but it's still, there would have been, I don't think there would have been any way to predict the depth of why Kaplan did what she did.
I have predicted that. I have said that she was related to Liz, or she had been Liz's nanny, or there was something about Liz that was very deeply personal for her.
Yeah. Okay, so unless you're Tessa. Unless you're Tessa.
Yay.
Or maybe it's just me. Maybe other people can too. I don't know. But I did not predict the depth there. I thought that she had gotten fond of her. But one of the things that you were talking about, season 1 versus season 4, one of the things that I found very interesting was that when we first meet Kate Kaplan, she says that she has two directives to find her employer and to protect Liz. And I realized after watching the finale this past season, I said, okay, so that doesn't necessarily, you assume in season 1 those directives come from Red. That makes sense. That's the logical step to take. But it wasn't. It was a promise she made to Katerina Rostova. And it's so much fun looking back on things. And things that you never could have made sense without that piece of the puzzle suddenly illuminated.
because she always looked a little pinched when Liz called her for something, as opposed to like when she calls her to find the doctor that is providing the organs um, for Dr. James Covington. She's all nice and relaxed there because, hey, she's doing an autopsy. And we're like, she seems to have a lot of interest in autopsies, and it was a very nice tied in from the character that we've seen from season one into this love for the bodies and the love for Katerina and for Red. And I did believe that she loved Red and she loved Katerina, but at the same time, I had this slight suspicion there was something in her that was always doubtful of Red, and that she at least had an outline of what she would do.
A contingency plan.
Yes.
I mean, think about Raymond Reddington. I mean, even Dembay in the Dembay Zuma episode, even Dembay thought, he said, I'm not going back to Red without evidence I didn't do this, because Reddington is capable of truly terrible things. And so Kate knew that. I mean, she wouldn't have spent as much time with him as she did, and not, I mean, she knew it was coming, because she and Tom had that conversation after Tom tortured little Nico. She said, I know what he thinks he has to do, and he wants me to make it easy for him, cleaner for him, and I'm not going to do it. And so she knew what was coming. She knew what Reddington was capable of. I think she hoped that he wouldn't, but it makes sense that she would have that contingency plan, because if Reddington were the end-all, if Reddington had been the end-all, if she had gone to work for him without any connection to Liz or to Katerina or to any of that, then she probably wouldn't have had that. But it makes sense with the fact that her loyalty lay with Liz rather than directly with Reddington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also found very interesting that she's behind Red all this time. She's doing all these things for Red and for Liz, and we know that she's the one who has the account, and she's known in everything. And yet she ignored the one directive from Katerina, you're not to love her. And there's a reason why Katerina did that. And I know that you say it's because she was a new mom or whatever. I think there's a more involved reason for that.
And there might be. I read that scene as feeling like she didn't want to be in competition with anybody. She knew she wasn't going to be there all the time, and that if Kate loved Masha, that Masha might love Kate more, just for the fact that she was around more. But regardless, you can't tell someone you can't love them. It's not like it's a choice.
But yet it was a condition of employment.
Yeah,
but violate.
And you can think, you can say, oh, I'm not going to love that person. That's fine. I can do that. But saying it and actually going through with that are two totally different things. Now, she could have walked away, but I'm not sure that Kate knew how much she cared about Liz until it was too late. I mean, Tom had that situation. He was willing to go up against his handler, his two bosses, multiple people, because he got in too deep before he ever knew what was happening, and suddenly he was in love with the woman. And so apparently Liz just has a way of bringing people in. It's funny because they made the comment about Kate being able to endear people to her. And so I'm wondering, nature versus nurture. I wonder if there's something, I mean, yeah, it could come a lot from Katerina because obviously she would be a very compelling personality and such. But obviously Kate is as well.
Yeah, I think that she became a lot different when actually working for Red is probably what made her the happiest. I mean, she had bodies to play with, and she made, to me, there is a lot of in her that after she got shot, that got sidetracked, that she just started, she called that revenge. She gave a reason for the revenge that was not just about a revenge, and it was just a revenge. I mean, there was, I think that she was I don't think, let me ask you, do you think that Kate thought Red was her father? Because
Probably.
that's a crux of the matter.
Probably. I don't know. I really
Because if you
because
think that is a woman taking a child away from her father, deciding for that child instead of the father that has been, even at a distance, looking after her, that's a whole different story.
yeah, but when the child's an adult, that's different.
Still, you're taking the child away from the father. You're taking the parental rights away from
I
the father, basically.
I remain of the opinion that until someone that has the answers comes to Liz and goes, "Here is your answer," instead of "Let me lead you to the next clue," like Kate did. I love it. I'm going to take you to the truth. It's like, just tell her. Like, of course something's gonna get in your way. Why didn't you just, as you were sitting out there by the ocean, holding her hand, why didn't you just say, "So, this is what I have for you. This is what it means."
There's 4 years to tell her, and in those,
Yeah.
I don't think that Kate knew that Red was her father.
And she
I
may not
think
have
that
known for
Kate,
sure.
I think that Kate thought that he loved her very much, but I don't think that she thought him to be her father. And I think that is what her truth was.
I really don't know. I don't have a firm opinion either way, but, I could definitely see it.
Mm. She certainly was a very compelling character. Susan Blomar made a phenomenal job out of it, and I hope that we get flashbacks of her, because it would be so interesting to see her, as she went along, Red, in that endeavor of creating a criminal empire.
Yeah,
And the
I'm gonna
actor
miss
playing
her.
the young her was absolutely unbelievable,
Yeah, I'm
Joan
gonna
Adler.
I'm gonna miss Susan. I really am.
I don't think that she would be gone for good. They got all these flashbacks.
Sort of. I mean, like they haven't done. I mean, they've started doing more flashbacks, so we'll see. I hope so. I hope that they start, bringing her back in that way, because I
Mm-hmm.
think I think the Johns really liked working with her, and so that's always gives you hope.
Mm-hmm. And that suitcase of hers, that would be the next thing.
Tom,
Um,
get that to your wife.
I don't envy Tom.
I don't envy anybody that has to go up against Red, to be totally honest. I mean, even without his usual backing that he has, he's still a force to be reckoned with. The good thing is, back to family again, he's probably not gonna murder his son-in-law in cold blood.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
That's really the
little
one thing he's got protecting him right now, is that he's family. He's,
his family. He changed the way Red treated Tom after Agnes was born. Is a completely different. Is 180 degree.
Mhm.
That's like, okay, now we gotta leave all this behind because we're family. It's like Dom, very much like Dom to me.
Yeah, it is. And so, what about Kate? Like, we're still on Kate here. Do you feel like Reddington shooting her? Do you feel like there was a huge change in her personality? I know we talked about that she had the contingency, plan with the bodies and everything, but do you feel like it was the action of betrayal that she felt that caused her to go on the rampage, or do you think there was actually some issues with, the medical issues, the fact that she had been shot in the
Hmm.
face?
Okay, I'm gonna go back to my favorite indication of deceit, plats. And in that cabin with Hunter guy,
Tessa,
they
never
were.
go to Scotland. Please, never go to Scotland.
You're a lion.
Tessa's melting down the Highlands.
So there was a lot of plaids, and sure, she was alive, which was a deceitful situation, but there was a little too much plaid in Kate. Let me put it this way. When we open in the flashback in Requiem and we see Kate in front of the little um, of her mom's in the funeral home, the mom is wearing plaid. She's wearing plaid. Something unexplained there. I don't know what it is, but something is bizarre. And then in almost every single one of the scenes shown with Kate, she's wearing plaid. She's wearing plaid when she's doing her revenge. So I think that while those are Kate's memories as she has them, it's not necessarily that is the absolute truth. So I don't know. I don't know that I can say for 100% that is because it was a changing character, or there is something that we haven't been told.
Which is always a possibility in the Blacklist. You have to keep shifting your views. I mean,
she was angry, that's for sure. She was very, very angry. And one of the things that get me away from it, she was doing it to protect Liz, is like, I don't know, but in my view, sending somebody to jail to protect and separate you from your mother in order to protect you from Agnes from being with Red, that doesn't sound great to me.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. I mean, the fact that she went to Gale, the fact that, all of that happened, that I kind of wonder if things were heightened. Like, the betrayal did a lot, the
shooting?
But the fact that, I mean, that's the second brain injury this woman has had. That maybe it just sort of skewed the viewpoint a little bit. Because she went... What was it? I think it was Marvin Gerard at one point. He was like, you're taking this cleaner thing way too seriously, lady.
Mm-hmm.
I love
it was just about this cesspool. He's like, you're taking this a step too far.
But, I mean, he called it. That's what... Everyone's sitting there watching it and going,
Yeah. Because it was simply... I mean, she was no longer protecting Liz.
Yeah.
She was willing to send Liz to jail. The outcome of all that was that the entire task force was going to jail, including Liz. She could have, and it's not that she didn't have a choice. She could have a choice to negotiate an immunity agreement for her and Liz, but she didn't. So that would have taken Liz to jail and leave Agnes with Tom, and I'm sure she had other choice plans for Tom to take her away and then probably just take that child. So in a way, it's a very similar thing to Rostov willing to jump off the roof with Agnes. If he can have it, nobody else can. And Kate was, well, if it's gonna be Red in her life, I'd rather not share the world with you. And basically, that's what she was telling Red. I can't share the world with you. So that's two people in one season that have been saying basically the same thing. If it's about sharing the world with Red, I'm not doing it.
Red really has an influence on people. You love him or you hate him.
Yeah, well, there's two hated him. In Kate's memories, we do not see Rostov. It's like the man wasn't even there. Yet,
I don't think she cared about him. I mean,
no,
her
he's an
arm.
He's an arm with a camera. That's it, with a photo on it. Like, that's it. That's the whole time she remembers of the poor man. I mean, he must have been the most boring person on earth. And there he is. Both her and Rostov have exactly the same views of Red at the end. They're willing to do anything, even take hurt Agnes in order to remove them from Red.
I had such mixed emotions on Kate because I love the character, but the moment she went after Ressler, I was kind of done. But I still missed her at the end. So it's a lot of mixed emotions. You don't have to love or hate a character. You can feel mixed. And so in this fandom, some people don't seem to go with that, but I have to remind myself every once in a while it's okay to feel a mixture of emotions there.
Well, she was certainly very interesting, certainly very loyal, extremely intelligent, and she managed to inflict damage on Red unseen. And
And
some of that was pretty.
that's kind of something I loved about it, was that he sat there in the first episode, and when he was busy sawing the guy's head off,
Hmm.
and said, "You're the cleaner. You're not a strategist. Let me show you what happens when someone goes out of their purview." And
Hmm.
it's like she spent the rest of season 4 teaching him why he was wrong. And she ripped everything away from him to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I mean, like, I feel like saying this, I'm gonna get fussed at. I don't mean it like I'm happy that Red is in this place, but the fact that she was able to do that and prove him that wrong is kind of nice in a way.
It basically took the last 30 years of Red's life and destroyed them.
Yeah.
Destroy those 30 years, left him, basically, as he says, with a hat on his head in that island. And the rest, he has no money. He has nothing. And that's what I'm saying. Fair warning, I think that for season 5, Red is going to have to reconstruct some of that.
Oh, we've
And
seen that.
he only has his family to. So prepare to see a lot of family in there, including
Including the
Tom.
son-in-law.
Yep. Hey, you got a good son-in-law to do all these things.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be
And
interesting.
it's funny because another one of the things that were up to me the theme of this season, that was Rostov and um and Kate, is that Rostov also had the same thing. It was this obsession with Masha, the little girl. They're both watching the picture of Liz as a girl, and Red finally is the one who says she is not Masha anymore.
Yeah,
Eh,
I
eh,
loved that scene where he's talking to her and he's, even without me in her life, this is the what she's dedicated her life to. This is what she is. This is what she learned. And, without me there, without me influencing it directly, she still became this. And it was, I don't remember who it was that said it. It might have been a couple different people. That said this was the first indication, really, that he's seeing her as an adult.
hmm
That he's
Well,
accepting her as an adult.
I've seen a few of those being sprinkled here and there. I don't know if you noticed, but by the time he got her back in Miles McGrath, he's already only using Lizzie in few choice moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've
She's
noticed that he
become,
stopped.
yeah, she's become Elizabeth. And even going one step further with Dom, he actually used Masha.
Mm-hmm.
So very interesting things. And I think that is also because we can't talk about Kate without talking about Rostov, because half of this of season 4 is really Rostov, but Kate kind of continues the whole thing of Rostov is separating Liz from Red, taking Liz away from Red.
And
Um,
not caring about the damage done around her.
mhm.
Being so focused on this goal of taking Liz away, driving a wedge between. Because that was one of the interesting things about Rostov to me, was that his first thing was, take the child, kill the father.
Mhm.
And then even when he found out, like, that made more sense when and he thought Liz was dead. But you would have thought that as soon as he found out Liz was alive, he would have gone, wait, my daughter will be very angry at me if I kill her husband.
Yeah, that
And then
probably
he
will make
didn't.
her love me.
And then he didn't. He was like, no, still kill him. I don't
Yeah.
care.
It got to the end until he said, "Don't hurt him."
And you're like, dude, you've already dug your grave on that one. How many times have you tried to kill him? You're just really bad at doing it. And that's. Kate didn't go after Tom directly because Tom wasn't really in the picture for this whole spiel. He was in
Yeah.
New
I'm
York.
sure she had plans. I'm
Yeah,
sure she
I
had
mean,
plans. It's another criminal. She didn't want her little precious little Masha to be a criminal. Yet Katerina was a traitor. So, whoa, where are you putting this line? Because, lady, either you hate traitors and criminals or you don't. But the fact is, you've been a criminal, you've helped a criminal, and Katerina was a criminal, and she's married to a criminal. So, poor little Agnes, excuse me, but she's not gonna. You can put her in a convent, and she's gonna end up being a criminal.
Or at least having those leanings, at least. I mean, she's
Should be
gonna.
a spy. Should be
Yeah, exactly.
politician.
Agnes Keene for president.
Hey,
Agnes
there
Keene
you
for
go.
president. I will vote for Agnes Keene.
I mean, she's got it. It's like she got it on all sides, and that is who you are. And I think we've been talking a lot about the Blacklist being about identity, and it's not just the names, the fake names, the fake death, but also accepting who you are. And I think part of Red accepting Liz as an adult has been accepting himself. He's a criminal, and he makes no apologies, but I think he finally understood that, begging Liz not to marry Tom was not going to make her any less of who she really was. Giving her that badge back is not going to make her into a perfect agent. Liz is Liz.
Well, immediately after she got it back, and Ressler made the comment, he goes, "You just got your badge back. Are you trying to lose it? Trying to pick this lock?" And she's like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the thing,"
Yeah. So it's been a very interesting if you look at those two baddies, that they're both of them have a lot of the same things in common, and among other things that they have in common is that neither one of them had any idea about Dom, which means they have no idea who Katerina really is.
Yeah.
They don't have all the truth, and even the saving grace is that Kate didn't know about Dom.
Yeah. And that probably was Dom's saving grace, too. Mm-hmm. Poor guy.
I don't know how he handled himself. We still don't know anything about him. Is he a musician, an architect, or a spy?
My money's on spy, but, it's the Blacklist, so that's...
I'm going for the architect.
Or maybe both, because you had that one guy in season 1 who was an asset for the CIA.
There you go.
He was an architect. All right, let's...
Oh, good one. I hadn't noticed that one. Oh, thank you. That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
He might have been an asset. He may have been a KGB asset or a CIA asset. Who knows? Maybe he was an architect in Russia and the CIA used him. Who knows?
All right, my crazy prediction, I think they're from the UK. I think they are Russian in origin.
There's a lot of British terminology. Now, granted, I will say that a lot of people, from what I can tell, a lot of people out of Europe, the English is not their first language when they learn from Europe and from that area, or from that side of the world. Because it also Africa the same way, I believe.
Mm-hmm. They learn English from the British, so they use the British words.
Yeah. And so it tends to be very much, much more British than it is American.
My prediction,
English.
And I think that, I think he's that house. That it's actually one of Dom's houses.
That's a possibility. Because wasn't there an architecture book in his house that was very?
There was an architect book in there, and the same book is actually in Red's bookcase.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's all these little things you have to see really careful. I love my Amazon subscription. Should we go into Gale? Because basically Gale is linked to Ressler, but it's also linked to Kate.
Yeah, because he's the one that... I found it so interesting that he was fixated on, the task force and how terrible they were for making this deal with Reddington because he murders people. And, that was his big thing, was he murders people. And even if these people were bad, he still murdered them. It's still death on his conscience. We should go after Reddington. Then he turns around and makes a deal to let Kate walk, who's been murdering people left and right, and been setting people up.
But he didn't know. But he didn't know that.
Yeah, if he had looked half a second, he would have figured it out pretty... that's not a big jump.
He was looking at the bodies and crying over the bodies.
I'm just saying it's not a big jump. But he basically made the same deal, just on a smaller scale. It's that bending of the morals. And that's one of the things that makes me so sad that, for anybody that hasn't heard, Gale is not going to be returning in season 5. And I feel like that's one of the things that makes me so sad, is that there was so much potential to move down that route. The same way Ressler is, of how far are you willing to go? When you start out as this, perfection of morals of in this world that they've created. I mean, that
Yeah.
when you start bending those, where does that take you? How far does that ripple go out? And we're watching that with Ress, and I would have loved to have seen Gale submerged in this world and see where it took him.
I just want them to bring him for episode 1 so they can give us a really nice, satisfying death.
Oh my god! Now he's never gonna come on our podcast.
Why? Actors love to die. The characters, they love making their characters die because they give them an exit and all that. It would be lovely. And I would love that it is actually they use it to propel the season forward because, hey, he was seen threatening Hitchens. Now Hitchens appears dead and now he's dead. I wonder if they're going to take him, get her, and then make it like to a double murder. Like, they, wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that double murder be nice?
Yeah, I mean, like the fixer comes, bring him, then they try to make it into is like a double murder. It would be lovely. They gotta give us something. I mean, I want a nice death. Come on, something that will propel it.
Come on, Johns. Do something. Give us some closure with Gale. If you're gonna take Gale away from us, give us closure. It's all we ask of you.
Yeah, and he just that crying over the bodies almost made me feel like I wonder if one of his parents or girlfriend or brother
Something
was
personal.
one of Reddington's informant. It was personal. That was deeply personal.
Yeah,
and the crying over the bodies and each one of them was I mean, it's like Ressler is saying, this is not outstanding citizens. This is murderers and money launderers and everything. They're the criminals. We're not,
Exactly. And I think a lot of it for Gale was that he felt personally responsible for their deaths because they were people that he tried to turn, and if he hadn't, not that he wouldn't have tried to turn them, but because he tried to turn them and he didn't protect them. I think he's got very much a
guilt.
What do you call it? A protector complex. There's a term. Hero complex, where he feels like he has to protect. And so I just would have been really interested to see where that went, and I have faith in them that they'll do something to wrap it up. And
it was a great character.
Oh,
it was a great character.
I loved him. I think he was. I'm not sure. I don't know, because I don't have the numbers that they do. I have no idea how well received he was. I loved him. I know that the online community seemed to be fond of him, but that's a very small percentage. So I have no idea how he was received. I do know that the actor was fantastic with it. I loved how he portrayed him.
Yeah. I really, really liked him. I thought it was fantastic. I honestly don't think that it was related at all to how well or bad he was received. I think it was simply a matter of the Blacklist was renewed, and I have a feeling that the Blacklist was renewed for 1 or 1.5 seasons.
Yeah, a timing issue. And I've kind of wondered the same thing.
Because the way that I'm seeing all these threads being picked up, it to me is saying, I am going to make a guess that is 1.5 seasons.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I hope we have more than one. 1.5, 2.
2 will be lovely, but I'm not sure. And even with 2, you gotta get out of the tangents because, I mean, think about all the threads that you still gotta pull out. You still gotta bring Katerina back here or really show that she's dead, but I don't think she's dead.
Like, if she's really dead, I'm gonna be shocked. Like, I will have to bite the bullet on that one. But, no, Gale was fascinating. He had a lot of potential to go a lot of different directions, but, as you just said, if they received word from Sony or NBC or what have you, hey guys, start wrapping it up because you don't have more than a little more over a season or what have you, then I could see that they just don't have time to go down that rabbit hole. And they have to really taper things in, especially because they're going to have to do something with Halcyon. Bring Halcyon back around. And I swear, if I hear another person blame Tom Keene over Gale leaving, I'm gonna have a meltdown. Tom Keene is not responsible for every negative thing that happens in this story.
No, and it's remember, it is a family drama. This is a family love story, and like it or not, I suggest that accept it. Will be a good one if you don't like it. It's that Tom Keene is Fred's son-in-law.
And
So
this
he's
story is
gonna
gonna
be there.
and this story is gonna focus. It's especially if they've got a time limit, they're going to zero in their focus on Liz and Red, who are the two main characters, and the people that are closest to them. And so if that's the case, if they do have a time limit, and I have no inside source that says that they do, I don't know, but it does make sense because we are wrapping up towards the end. Bokenkamp made a comment a while back. He said, that Samar and Aram getting together seemed like the natural place for them to go, but it wouldn't happen until towards the end. Guess what? Those two were snogging at the end of season 4. While I was thrilled, my Saram heart was thrilled to death. My Blacklist heart was going, no, that means we're at the end.
And the revelation that Liz is Red's biological daughter. Yeah. That's another one. I mean, just in case that they haven't said it like maybe 5 times during the all these years, especially during this last season.
It's been back and forth. Yeah.
Well, only in the way of the parenthood. I mean, is it biological father, or is it maybe just that he loved her, that since she was a baby? I mean, that wasn't the only question I had. But even then, when you look back again in season 1, you realize, I don't know, that was right there.
I was a daddy gator from the 2nd episode in. I have a long meta. If anybody's interested, it's on my Tumblr account.
That's how I came to Tumblr.
Really?
Yay! Yay! I read it. It's like, oh, interesting.
Sorry. Well, I guess it's my fault that Tessa came to Tumblr. I'm excited.
It was very well written, and it was very early days, but it was very convincing, and kind of you put everything that I saw it from the moment he surrendered and asked for Elizabeth Keene, and she appears like, oh no, this is his daughter. This is his daughter.
I didn't get that from there, but obviously some people did. There are different points that people have come to that conclusion, and some people are still denying it. So who knows? People do what they do. Anyway, you want to get into Ressler?
Let's go into Ressler, because Ressler got, I know that he got a big arc on season 3, and then he got kind of pushed to the sides because it was about the baby and the immediate family.
But in Esteban, I think you and I talked about it because funny thing, hey, this really brings it around. Tessa and I started this podcast at the beginning of season 4, so we've done a full season now. We're kind of excited for that. I remember discussing in Esteban that there was something to the fact that they focused in on Ressler when he went against Panabaker, and he was like, no, I just helped to stop horrific acts. That's my job. That's what I'm doing. When she asked him if he was a traitor.
Are you a traitor or moron? The same thing that he said to Aram. So that is a very Panabaker line. Are you a traitor or a moron?
Panabaker, as a Southerner, I don't understand half of what she's saying. I just want to put that out there. Oh, Panabaker. But no, in Esteban, I remember telling a bunch of my friends that are huge Ressler fans, I said, deep breath, guys, we're about to get a big Ressler arc. Because I know that a lot of people felt like he'd gotten pushed back. And then we did. Ressler's really come to the forefront, and I think season 5 we're going to get a lot of Ressler with the whole situation with Hitchin coming back around, because that's going to have to be dealt with. An article just came out. We're recording this on July 30th, and an article came out, I think, today from EW.
June 30th.
June. What did I say?
July.
Oh, no, not July yet. June 30th. Sorry. Apparently I lost an entire month to my memory. Who knew?
Memory wipe! No! I'm sure Tom did it. that he was that's going to have big repercussions for him.
That's what John was saying.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense and we've been going towards this from the episode 101. this is where this had been going, and it was either that or he was going to go and shoot Red. And obviously, Gale was a very useful mirror, because this was Ressler as we kind of saw him but didn't got so well and succinctly put together. What Gale is like, you're making this deal with this criminal, and Ressler is like, I know, I feel exactly like you, but look at what we've done. So for Ressler, I mean, this has been a long way towards losing his innocence and stop being a Boy Scout and realizing that the the black and white world is a childish world.
Well, the thing is, with a character like Ressler, who is, as Bokenkamp just said in his little brief blurb in EW, he said he's the moral compass of the show, and I agree with that. But with a character like him, who used to see the world in very black and white, he had one of two routes. I mean, obviously there are multiple side things he could go off on, but one of two main routes he could have gone that would have been the end all. He's either going to have to bend and learn and grow in the gray. I mean, I'm not saying dark gray. I'm not saying Liz and Red and Tom sort of gray, or even Samar sort of gray. I'm talking about, for Ressler, dipping his toe into the gray. He was
That's
either
already gone. Pretty black.
I mean, and so he was either going to have to go down the path that he did end up going down and go darker, or he wasn't going to make it. It's the same thing I've said about Tom for ages now. I said if he had just been that innocent school teacher, he never would have survived. He either would have been dead or gone. It's the same thing with Ressler. If he had not adapted to a degree, he would have been dead or gone. He either would have transferred or he would have been killed. His character could not survive in that squeaky clean white stage and also do his job appropriately. It was part of the conundrum he had in season 3. The job versus the reality of the world.
Yeah.
And he's just taken that and he's moved and he's evolved, and I love where they've gone with him, because that's what I love to see in characters, is that sort of growth.
And I said a lot, and I know that people were not agreeing with me, but I did say it, and I still believe it, that when Ressler told Liz in the car coming in, Nights of the director, at the beginning of the director, I do believe you were set up. That's the point where he's actually acknowledging that Liz was set up.
I actually disagree with you on that. I'm probably the one you're thinking of.
No. I'm the only one who says that.
Oh, really?
But I do believe that is the case, because I think that it's not that he didn't waver. It's not that he believed her one day and disbelieved the other. I mean, they're telling him, "Hey, we got her prints on this," and he's thinking, well, maybe this woman just pulled the wool over my eyes. Maybe she is a terrorist, and I didn't know. Hey, there's a Tommy markings of the world, and maybe that's what happened. And there was a times that he must have thought, oh my God, no, I know her, I know that's not her, and then back into, but the evidence. They had her prints on the van, and she was the one who touched the senator. And so where is the reality? It's very different.
Okay, so see, that's how I see it. I saw him as going back and forth. That he didn't want to believe it, but the evidence. I saw him very back and forth in season 3. And so maybe we do actually believe more.
So is a point where he says, I do believe, is when he made up his mind. She was set up. She was totally set up. And I think and I loved it, because the way when they finished season 4 with Ressler goes right back to that magnificent scene in 110, in 109 with Ansel Garrick, where he says, how could you do it? How did you forsake the flag and became a traitor? And I think that he just learned how it happens.
Well, I mean, that's good. I like that. I drew the parallel between what happened with Hitchin and Solomon, because he wanted to put Solomon down in season 3. He's standing over him and he's going, if I don't kill this man, he's gonna walk free, which he did. I mean, Ressler was 500% right. Solomon ended up walking free and joining Halcyon, and then we have no clue where he is now because he's left Halcyon. But Solomon's free and clear, and that was what Ressler was terrified was going to happen. This man that had tried to kill them, had nearly destroyed their lives, and ended up coming back and nearly killing his partner later. I mean, Solomon caused so much more chaos after that. That never would have happened if Tom had just let Ressler put a bullet in his brain. But it would have destroyed... Exactly what's happening to him now with Hitchin, which...
Worse. That would have been worse.
Maybe.
That was cold blood. Hitchens was an accident.
And Hitchin was an accident, but I don't know if Ressler is going to be able to make that distinction. What I hope happens is that I really want him to open up to Liz. What I would love is for Tom to be there too, because I've got this nice little headcanon that if anybody's reading my current story, you know what it is because it's posted, but I've got this of Tom just being like, is the body taken care of? Do we need to do something? Do I need to go bury a body for you? You know?
Well, I think that for Ressler wasn't just that. I mean, it's not the body.
Oh no, it's
It's
the action.
what he did before that is what led to that, is that moment, that agonizing moment where he has the proof in his hand, and now that's how what I said, that's how he knows how Red did it. He had a way of getting getting a guilty woman in prison. He had the proof in his hand, and he had to give that up in order not to end up in jail for something that he had been doing, following orders. Nobody asked him, do you want to be in this task force? Nobody asked him, are you okay with going with Reddington? This is what you're doing. And now, as Cooper says, where do you go to get your reputation back? Red didn't have any. Red didn't have anywhere to go to get his reputation. So what he did is he continued on that path and took it to the other end. Yeah. And became, so you're saying I'm a criminal, I'll become a criminal that you say I am. Because that's the only way that I got left. I have no way back. And that's what, and Ressler had to do it. Either he was going to end up in jail for doing his job, or he was going to have to give up that, to bring her to justice, which essentially for him was bringing Tommy Markin to justice. And he had to give that up in order to remain free and the task force to remain free.
I don't think that when he gave that bullet up, I don't think it was just for him, though. I think he did that for the task force on whole.
For all of them.
And yeah, I really do believe that, and I think that is so huge for him. I mean, that says so much about how far his character has come, that he is willing to put his team above the law.
And I think not just the team, but I think that he absolutely believes that if they weren't doing that job, there would be far more dangerous people out there doing damage.
He told Liz that when she tried to turn herself in, it was the deer hunt.
Yeah, it's a number. It's a question of numbers. Mm-hmm. It's how many people are not burying a father, a son, a husband. That is the point for Ressler, is that he have come full circle. He now has the tools to understand why Red does what he does, because you're not in a perfect world. The black and white world doesn't exist outside your head, and in this imperfect world where they live, they are worse and bad, and you go for bad. Yeah, and bad is not good. Should we touch on Panabaker?
Yeah, Panabaker's been here a lot, so let's stick her in there. And she's such a fascinating character, because I loved, I think it was at the beginning of this season, actually. She's in Cooper's office, and she's like, listen, all the people that have come before me are either missing or dead, and I do not plan to be the next one on that list. And so I love how she's stuck around, because she's really fascinating to me. I didn't trust her for a while.
I still don't.
I don't know, because we know that she's in contact with Halcyon. She is
Yes.
deep in with Halcyon. She knew Scotty. I'd be curious to know if she's wiping her hands clean of that right now. But she was also meeting, because we saw in Redemption that Scotty was meeting with people from the Hill in her office. And yet Panabaker met with her at a clandestine meeting at an airport in which Tom had to take photos of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, it was super secret. And so you've got to wonder why. Because it's not like Scotty is a low-profile character.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's why they left Panabaker there, because she's going to be the tie-in to Alcyon. That's very good.
Oh, and I do, like, I've always kind of had that mini headcanon that she's their real liaison between...
Alcyon and the government?
Yeah. I was shocked, actually, that she didn't end up in Redemption. I was kind of sad that they... I mean, it may have been a scheduling conflict. It may have just been that they didn't have a place to fit her in. They had several people in Redemption that liaison between the FBI, that liaison between the government and the military.
I found something interesting in all this with and I just caught it in as I was watching 422 at the beginning. It goes so quickly that, and you're so much in shock over what's happened before that it kind of misses it. But at the beginning, she's asking Cooper to keep Kate safe, and I'm starting to wonder, does she have a line to Katerina? Is there something else that we haven't seen? There's something
what are you talking about?
At the beginning of 422.
Oh, okay.
It's just one line. She's asking Cooper to keep Kate safe from Reddington. And Cooper is like, are you asking me to keep her safe? She's been killing people left and right. It's a very tiny moment. And yeah. I up until this rewatch, I haven't even seen it. It's very intriguing. Very intriguing, because there is also the symbol things. She has never worn a plaid. She has never been near anything plaid. So that tells me that whatever she's playing, she's a straight player. And the other thing that is interesting about her is that she has been shown to use a lot of fishing references. Anything that has to do with water and fishing, whoever uses water and fishing is on red side.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I like Panabaker. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into her. Obviously, you've put more into it than I have. But that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, it's something. It's a very, very interesting little moment there that leaves you like, what? Why is she asking that? And that's a perfect kind of little moment that the Blacklist used to put in there, and you don't even notice because there's so much happening. So that was very interesting. I think it's time to go into Cooper.
I love Cooper. So one of the things that I joked about when he popped up in Redemption was, because I knew Liz was coming back in it. I knew that was coming. I was prepared for that and excited for that. And then we got, for those that were watching Redemption, we got, Tessa heard me. From New York to Texas. Tessa heard me.
Yep.
Because Cooper shows up in that preview, and I went, I didn't realize how much I missed him. I love Harry Lennox.
It was a great scene, and I love that they took him, because Cooper haven't had a whole lot to do. He's been a catalyst of a lot of things, but in terms of a character development, we haven't had this, and we're due for some.
Yeah, and I'm dying, because I feel like they set a lot of things up in season 4, talking about going home to his family, so that you think he and Charlene may be back, but I don't think he's wearing a wedding ring. So, who knows what family he went home to. And we've heard the daughters talked about, because Reddington mentioned them in season 2. When he showed up, he said, give Charlene and the girls my love. But we haven't heard about the girls. They were not at the house. There was no indication. we need to let the girls know not to come home. They might get shot, you know, when they were on the run, when they had
They're
character.
probably adults.
And so
I had a feeling.
But I mean, Harry Lennox is what, mid-50s?
Mid-50s, yeah.
And so I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
About Red Sage.
Yeah, I mean, they could be in college or something. So yeah. Well,
I think they're in 30s. They probably is.
My parents are a lot older than most parents are. I always equate with my own folks, and they're in their 60s, and I'm 30, so like that.
Yeah, I mean, he would have kids more or less like Red. Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's true.
I always thought that when Cooper goes home after his release in 222, that is he goes to the home of one of their daughters, because that's not their house. That
true.
was not their house. That was a townhouse, so a city townhouse.
That makes sense. Yeah, that fixes that for me in my head, because I've always wondered about that. But no, I feel like Cooper this season was the wise figure for everything. I mean, he just every time, I mean, because Liz had some great moments with him. One that stands out in my mind is when she's sitting and she's trying to decide if she wants to be a donor for Kirk in 4A, and she says, she's sitting there talking to him, and she says, Tom doesn't want me to do it. And Cooper says, of course he doesn't. He threatened the two people Tom loves most. Of course he doesn't want to help him. But it doesn't matter what Tom wants. You're the one that has to live with it in the end. And you have to make that decision.
No.
Like, it's just... She made the comment in season 2, I think it was, that he's, you know, close to being like a father to her. And it's echoed through season 4 so much. You have that beautiful scene between Red and Cooper in 4A as well. When
he thinks he's dead and says how you're holding up. And
no.
You know that oh no?
No. That beautiful scene in which Red says, I'm smothering her. And they're talking about that. It just...
Oh, I think there's a piece missing in there.
But it's such a great scene. And Cooper's had some really good... And he seems to be the one people go to in their times of turmoil. He's just that person, and he's so great for it. And I saw someone on Tumblr the other day that said, if all we needed to, like, make, you know, seriously, we've been waiting on Cooper to get curious, or something like that. Talking about Cooper doing the DNA test, like, 4 seasons
I think he knew. I mean, and I always say for anybody who is not on that bandwagon, watch 101 when Ressler says, who the hell is Elizabeth Keene? And Cooper does this. It's just a move. It's just an eye movement. And you know, like, oh no, he knows who Elizabeth Keene is. He knows who Elizabeth Keene is to Red. And he knows perfectly well Red is Red. I mean, you don't tell somebody who's been in the military that the man they run missions with, the man they rescue from torture, that's somebody who just is an imposter. Come on, get out of there. That's the reason why he goes over there, because he has no doubt in his mind that Red is this Red.
Yeah, and it's probably also the reason that Red delivered himself to Cooper, is because he knew that Cooper would... I'm not sold that Cooper knew, you know, from prior, but I could definitely see over the course of the last 4 years that Cooper has put that together. He's not a dumb cookie. He's an incredibly intelligent human being.
Well,
even if he did not know definitively, he probably was in the same boat as Tom. Pretty damn sure, just without the DNA test.
I have my theories in Cooper, and I think that I mean, maybe I'm like going thoroughly insane, which is entirely possible. But I think that I've had my theories, and in my theories, and to me, season 4 has delivered an impressive amount of clues. They're just not easily seen as clues. But there's a very interesting scene when he's telling Liz about, you know, the DNA. And he starts by saying, I know it's hard to believe now, but I was a golden boy once. He got out of the Navy, and he went into a joint Pentagon task force with the FBI, and he had been running very, very sensitive missions. And he described himself as once as a golden boy. So there's two things for which he's no longer that, or he describes himself as such. One, he made a big blunder, but then he wouldn't be who he is. And the second one is he was assigned to a very secretive mission, and he's really never left the Navy. He's still running an undercover mission in the FBI, and I think that undercover mission has to do with Red Mission. I think that Cooper has been one of those safeguards for Red, and that's why he went to him.
Maybe. Or maybe he was just reaching out to somebody that he had had a prior connection to, and was leaning on the probability, one, the knowledge that he knew Cooper. He knew who he was at his core. Mm-hmm. And also that because he knew who he was, that he knew, he had at least a good idea of how he was going to react to him, and knew that he would bring Liz in and, be able to predict the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the sane version. Mine is the crazy version. So great moments with Cooper, but I think we agreed he had beautiful scenes with everybody. He delivered, that was a beautiful scene with Aram when Aram couldn't hit the button, and he said, "You did yours and I did mine." And he's not so upset. Much. He's just like, I did what I had to do. And the moment with Samar where he says, I understand what you did, but what you're here, you have no other commitments except this one. So he has had so many of this moment. He had become the glue of the show, because everything around him is tumbling apart.
Yeah. Cooper, Harry Lennox is just a fantastic actor. And even with few lines and a relatively small part, he makes so much of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping that the next season gets Ressler and Cooper a chance, because this was definitely more Samar and Aram. They got a big part, and I think that now we should go into Ressler and Cooper to explore, because we're both at very interesting points.
Yeah. So, saying that, would you like to go into Samar?
Let's go into Samar.
Oh, Samar. I honestly...
What a roller coaster that characters have had.
Perfect way to describe my feelings of Samar this season. It took me a while to warm to Samar, because I wasn't sure if she was going to stick around or not. She wasn't part of the original cast, but once I got to know her a little bit, I liked her really well. She was Mossad. That automatically endears her a little bit to me.
She's a bad girl.
Ziva, I'm sorry, you don't screw with Mossad. They will kill you. But if anybody's watched NCIS, Ziva is one of my favorites from NCIS. I've always had a fondness for Mossad characters, and they always tend to be just badasses, and so I warmed to her, but I felt
Samar had got, she went in a roller coaster. She started being really pissed at Liz, and understandably, she had put so much on the line for Liz, and then she's betrayed. There she's saying, "I'm hurt. I'm really hurt," and everybody's like, "Okay, what's going on?" And she's like, "I'm leaving." Okay. What's going on with Agnes? And she's really, and then she's going back and forth, and she's, I think, rearranging. And that was a huge thing. She had the thing she had based her life on was exposed to be a lie. The brother that she was supposed to be defending became the terrorist that she was hunting. He was willing to kill her, it was horrifying. And then suddenly there she is. Her entire life is upside down. Is she gonna go back to Mossad? Is she gonna stay with the FBI? She had this one night stand with Ressler. The boyfriend dumps her, then wants her back, and then she's like, I'm not sure, where I am. It's been a very rough year for Samar.
Yeah. And like I loved her in 4A because I felt bad for her. Like I understood why she was upset with Liz. I personally didn't agree with her, but I did understand where she was coming from. What got me was I felt like she got really petty in 4B when she and Aram were at each other. And I started warming right back up as soon as they started backing off on the Saram drama. Like, they were still fuming at each other, but we didn't have it in your face, really, like, stretched bickering. And which, people do that. People say some really stupid things when they're hurt. And they were. And I think that was a lot of it, is that Samar is... I mean, she is who she is, and I don't think she does well with expressing some emotions, and I think that was a lot of what was happening, was that she was hurt and it was coming across badly.
I think that she was one of those girls that, she probably, as soon as she reached an age where she could join the Mossad, and she got a PhD in economy while being Mossad and a secret agent, I think that she somehow and she's gorgeous and all that. She kind of skipped all that adolescent drama. She was surviving. Her parents had been killed. She was left with a little brother. Then supposedly her brother died. Then she's like getting all educated and everything. And at the same time, it's like she missed that entire thing. And she's too gorgeous to even notice that she did. And then at the end, it's like suddenly she's faced with a real dilemma with her entire life upside down. Basically, what Ressler is going through this coming season, it's what she started the season with. Everything that she knew about herself was thrown up in the air.
And that's true. That's true. There were a couple, and this is very personal, and I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. That's fine. I mean, that's totally okay. I felt like she got really petty in 4B. And what you just said makes sense, that she may have just kind of missed all of that. And we saw that with Tom in season 1 and 2, where he was still trying to find his own emotional center and emotional maturity, that he did and said some really stupid things. And you're just like, really, dude? How old are you?
Yeah.
But it's because he didn't have the emotional maturity there. So that's interesting. That helps kind of put that perspective for me a little bit more.
Yeah. So they're very well-rounded characters, and I particularly feel that the route they take her from, we went from very deeply personal, like I feel ignored, I put everything in this woman and I consider her my friend, then she just faked her death. Then I'm here and I'm hurt and everybody's ignoring me. Then I finally decided, like, hey, you know what? We're going to get her back. Okay, we're going to get her back. We get her back, and then I'm conducting this Mossad thing, and I get my, read the riot act, and then this dude is like with this woman, and I'm kind of protective, and I got it. It was a very wild ride for her. She was all over the place emotionally, and it takes a long time for anybody to kind of find their center after your entire life is being thrown up in the air. It's tough. And I liked it. I thought it was very well done. At some points I was like, oh boy, that is too much, But that's again what I felt when in season 1. Now that I'm rewatching it, it's like, oh my God, Tom, the school teacher, perfect husband. Oh my God, I'm gonna gag. It's like it's so over sweet. It's disgusting. And then of course you go past because as you do a rewatch, like, hey, that's yes, there's some part of that are true, but most of that is he's a spy.
He laid it on so thick at points. What does that mean? Why would that happen? And you're just like, Tom, stop.
Yeah, but
Honey,
it worked. It worked, and this is the same thing. It felt like Saram is like, oh my God, this is too heavy, but in perspective to where we meet Samar abducting Red for purposes unknown, from where she's abducting Red to where she's right now. That's a big arc that these characters have had.
Oh, definitely. She's grown a great deal. And it's been a very interesting watch with her. Alright, so Aram has had
Uh, one thing that I want to add to Samar. Samar had two particularly fine moments to me that I want to just like touch on. The moment where she's being tortured, it's just like torture. The guy is like, "I'm good," and I love that because it was at this moment where this enemy realizes that this they're both the same and they're both in their cause and there's nothing to be gained. And it's find it very funny because it is the Mossad partner that actually goes to get her and delivers the device. So chooses her when it's too late for her to love him back. Where at the beginning he would have been like, no, I don't want anything. And he's Ressler, the one saying, you can't give that to the terrorist, and runs after him. I found that very interesting. And then that moment, the second moment where she says to Janet, like, you tell me that you wouldn't have done the same. She says, I can. And I totally believed her. So those were two very fine moments she had.
Okay, yeah, before we go into Aram, let's talk about Samar and Janet for a minute.
Yeah.
Because we can't not.
No.
I liked Janet. I liked Elise
She's a great
Janet.
character.
She was fun. I was very fond of her. She just was kind of unapologetic. And I just really liked her. But I also approached her with this understanding that she wasn't going to last. And so I think that's probably one reason I was okay with the fact that she was gone. Like, I knew she was going to do something. Either she was going to do something... My prediction was that she was going to see what was going on. Aram was going to make some grand gesture to her, and she was going to kiss him on the cheek and go, yeah, that's sweet that you're saying it. I'm not the one you want, and walk off. That was my prediction. She ended up... and it's not even that she was trying to screw Aram over. She was
surviving.
She was surviving, and she proved that she did not... It was very interesting because she told Samar, you just don't like that I know him better. And she proved in that moment by giving Aram up and assuming he would give his friends up, she proved that she didn't know him
as well as she thought.
Yeah. Aram is one of the most loyal individuals on the show.
To me, that he's the center of the show, the moral center. He and Dembe, not Ressler.
I think it's a different kind of moral center, if that makes sense. Ressler
is more gray then.
Yeah, I think Ressler is more the black and white sort of moral center, and
was.
Yeah, was. And then Aram is more the emotional moral center, if that makes sense. And so I see a distinction there. But Samar, I like I said, I was very put out with Samar for a while in season 4, and the fact that she was the one that made the move, because Aram had tried putting his heart on the line to her for like 2 seasons, and she was like, okay, that's nice, and then she finally decides that she's ready, and she gets offended that he's not. And I think that's one of the things that bothered me the most, was that it's like suddenly it was like she was expecting him to just bow down to her wishes, and it really bothered me. It didn't set well with me. And so the fact that she... Because, it would have been very in character for Samar, and that's what she was planning to do, was to march down there and tell him how Janet was screwing him over, and make Janet hurt. You know, she was hurting, she was going to make Janet hurt too. And so, but she put Aram first, and that showed... You were talking about looking at her from season 2 when she came in to season 4. That shows an amazing step in emotional growth for Samar. And I think that step was what made, for me, the kiss at the end of the episode work. Because I was sitting there watching it in 4B and I said, oh my gosh, they're going to ruin my ship for me. They're going to get to the point where they put these two together and I'm going to be so pissed off at them that I'm not going to be okay with it. And I was really worried that was going to happen. And yes, I know I'm a shipper. Tessa's not. She's looking at me like, I don't understand what you're saying here.
I don't.
But for all the shippers that listen, you guys understand what I'm saying. But the emotional growth there and that step in that direction of growth in which she put, without any promise of anything in return to her, just because she cares about him, she puts Aram's emotional well-being first. That, to me, just reset Samar for me, and I'm like, I love you again.
Yeah, it was a really, really good moment. I love the character of Janet. I thought that it was very well done. It was a very interesting, because I always say the Blacklist loves a mirror, a parallel, and she was in many ways a mirror to Tom and a mirror to Katerina, all undercover agents, but not an exact mirror. She was there for her own self-interest. At the end, she betrayed that, and you compare that to Tom coming back to face his crimes because he loved Liz.
It wasn't about. That's exactly what Tom said when he sat in Judge Dinner's chambers. He said, "It's not about me. It's about her. I don't care what happens to me."
Yeah.
And I actually put up a parallel of that scene with him in Dinner's chambers and Janet saying, I didn't think I had a choice. They were going to take my deal from me. And, I mean, you've got life in prison, possibly the death penalty, versus they were going to take my deal from me. And that's that beautiful alternative parallel there of doing it right. Tom figured it out, but Tom's also a main character that's leading forward. Janet was never meant to stick around. I think that's the difference.
But it's a very interesting way, because a Blacklist usually will bring us a character that is a sort of a parallel, but not an entirely. I will call them the distorted mirrors. Tom is a distorted mirror to Katerina. Katerina, either because Red didn't give her the chance to prove that she was different, or that she loved him, or whatever it was, but Tom and Liz made a different choice on being together and keeping Agnes with them instead of giving him to fear and giving the child away as the only way to keeping her safe. And we know how that had made Liz grow up with relatively safe, but at the same time grow with that anxiety that she doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
So it's a very different thing. Aram.
I was going to say, leading into Aram, he had so much growth just within this season. I mean, because you had at the beginning of the season, that scene that you mentioned earlier between he and Cooper, where he just couldn't push the button, and Cooper did it for him and said, you did your job, I did mine, which... love that scene so much. And then you have that versus later on when he takes the freaking bazooka, the launcher, and blows, Brett
and meanwhile Ressler is like, what?
Ress's face was so priceless. He was like, and you're doing it, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I guess he's not getting away.
But it was such growth there, because especially considering season 1 Aram, who was having to go through intense therapy and write journals.
Because he killed a terrorist that was killing FBI agents.
Yeah.
And threatening his friend. Yeah, and then from there on into, I can't, I can't push the button, to I'm going to push the button. And then he stood up to the director in season 3. And then on season 4, he is telling the architect, I am not doing that. And I'm not a person. And he says to Janet, either help me or get out of the way. It's a very different character, and I think that the difference for Aram has been in the growth have been because it's gone in the field. It's one thing to look from his ivory tower to where killing is something that he can mull over, to actually seeing that when people shoot at you, when people give you keep you at gunpoint, when they make you do things, when you actually see people die, when you see that tower disappear, and you know that somebody that was an innocent guard there died out of nothing just because this guy is paid to get this garbage out of the prison.
Yeah, I mean, and he's seen so much happen through season 4 that terrifies him. It breaks apart everything that he knew. I think that Liz's quote unquote death and finding out that she wasn't dead shook all of them in a way, in various formats. And for Aram, I think it, because
look at everything that have happened.
I loved Aram's reaction when she came back. He said, Samar's not the only one angry. I'm upset too, even though I understand. And I feel like that he's
very articulate.
Yeah, oh, he is. And he takes people's emotions into consideration. I love Aram, because as for awkward as he is, he's also very insightful at times. And he, bless him, I love him to death, because he tries to explain. I think he has more trouble explaining his own stuff. Like, he sees things and he tries to explain where he's coming from. People just don't care. Or, it's not that they don't care, that, like, that scene broke my heart.
He goes into tangent.
He does that
tangent all the time, yeah.
But that scene between he and Samar in late season 4, where he's trying to tell her that why he's having trouble with the possibility of a romantic relationship between them, he's trying so hard to explain where he's coming from. She's like, I don't care. And I understand where Samar's coming from. She's hurt. She's shutting down. That's what she did. But it just, poor baby. He was trying so hard to explain, to spare her feelings by explaining.
But look at where he's gone. You know, he starts the season heartbroken because Liz faked her death, because Tom faked her death. And then, you know, he's like, but he's hurt and he's trying to help. And then he gets Tom on the phone and he's like, yeah, I'm doing that, but you got to tell me what I want to know, because it's important. I mean, honesty is kind of like, yes, it's funny because he looks to be a weak character at the beginning, but he wasn't at all. He knows how to get the answers he needs.
It's the same way that he and Tom were talking in season 3 when they were working together, and he basically needed Tom to tell him,
yeah, this is not real. It's just, I'm just doing a job.
And that he loved Liz. And as soon as Aram had that piece of information, he was good. And so he needed to know, and I think he was pissed at Tom at that point.
Well, there was all these things happening in season 4 for him. Is he starts with that thing, then he's kind of recovering out of this, to go into, now he's like, there's this gorgeous woman, you know, with him. And before you know it, the gorgeous woman, he realizes that the gorgeous woman that he's always known that she's too hot for him, and they're going to be another thing. Not only that she's too hot for him, but she's being spying on him. And the whole world, and then she has to go there, and she has suffered this horrendous humiliation of crying banana like a kid needing his diapers changed, as he put it in, you know. Then he has to go on a grand, banana. What part of banana you didn't get? And then he has to go and explain to Cynthia Panabaker, who's not exactly means words, why he has this horrendous taste in women. And then, just as he's starting to fall for Samar, and Samar things are going around, it turns out Samar is conducting Mossad operation on U.S. soil completely, and she's basically, you know, doing things behind everybody's back. So there he goes. He's finally recovering a little bit, and he's going into this he's into, the architect takes him, and then he kills the architect. He's the one who seems more shocked by Red being on death then he gets taken prisoner by Dembe. And then, I mean, do you realize all the things that he has done at that last moment where, he's helping Dembe, he's taking and force to give grant testimony, and says, "Stop, Mr. Reddington. What are you talking about? You try stop Mr. Reddington." So it's a whole, this arc for him has been humongous in one season, and that's without going everything that he has gone through.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah.
It's a lot. When you really start looking at everything that has happened to him, it's been a lot. And he's been instrumental in everything he has done.
Yeah. And he's just grown so much. And I made the comment to a lot of friends that were the big Saram fans and stuff at the time that Janet came back. And I said, she is going to get him to the place he needs to be able to appropriately love Samar, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And she did. I mean, she was a tool. She was a cool tool. I liked her, but she was a writing tool there. But he's learned so much through this, and I'm gonna be fascinated to see where they take him in season 5, because he's a fan favorite. And Amir posted something on Twitter today. Apparently Dave Metzger got an office, so kudos, Dave, congrats.
Yay.
Not that I think you actually will ever hear this, but if you do, congrats, guy. Because, hey, tiny office is better than no office at all.
Mm-hmm.
As someone that works in a shared space, I will say tiny office is better than no office at all. But Amir put something up. He was in Dave's office today, pitching Aram ideas for possible ideas that he has. And I love that. I love how connected Amir is. And I think a lot of the actors are. I mean, James is. But we've heard Megan talk about it. How they have some say and they have some input in this. And I love the collaboration there. If any of the writers are listening to this podcast, if any of you guys lurk or anything like that, as a writer, please, I would love to have you on the show and pick your brain over it. Please,
we do.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
I will beg. I'm not.
I promise not to ask too many theory questions, the canon questions, and concentrate on the business of writing.
But it was really cool to see that Amir gets a say-so in Aram and gets some influence on that. That was a lot of fun to see.
It was. This season has been really, and you forget how good it is, because you get so caught up in like the 1, 2, 3 episodes that you just seen, that until you do a full rewatch of the season, you forget how tight things are.
And it's just been so crazy and so good.
Mm-hmm. I'm so looking forward to the next one.
I am too. So we're going to wrap it up with Aram, and we're going to do Tom, Liz, and Red, and dig into Dembe and Red's army in the next episode, because it's shocking. We talked a lot.
We do.
This is what happens. I told Tess at the beginning, I was like, we should probably split this into 2, and she's like, no, we can do it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're right. I got no problem admitting when I'm wrong.
It's alright. It's because we have a lot to say, because the writers have given us so much to work with. The writers, the actors, the production team, everyone, and that's that's the tangent I was getting on with Amir and Dave, was that they do really seem to work as a team. And I love watching them work and all the little tidbits that we get from them, because they are just such a fantastic team that works together.
Yeah, they really are.
And
they
so
really are.
We'll be hitting those 3 in the next podcast, and so hopefully it'll help add to your summer hiatus and get us a little bit further through. And so we'll be back with that. And until then, if you have questions, comments, or anything you want to add, Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr is where you can leave those, and you can listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube.
Until next time.
Till next time. Bye bye.